Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, independent tech posters are writing Wall Street's research reports, frontier AI agents are failing basic IT exams, and a national education board uses a ChatGPT watermark to cover up a massive cyber hack.
Yeah, it is a relentlessly wild day on the wire.
It really is. So, welcome to the deep dive into today's raw news cycle. If you're joining us today, you already know the drill. We are unpacking the reality of what is actually happening in the tech ecosystem.
Right, just stripping away the PR spin.
Exactly. We are moving from hard market realities straight into enterprise AI warfare, and we're ending on some serious cultural escapism and cosmic ambition.
And my job is to bring that cynical lens, as always. We're looking past the breathless announcements to find the second-order effects. I want to know who's actually making money, who's quietly faking their competence, and, where the systemic cracks are starting to turn into massive fractures.
Well, let's start with the hard news base layer, right? The physical hardware that runs all this tech. We're seeing a massive shift in who the market actually trusts for intelligence. There's this post today from the handle at Jukin05.
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah, he just discovered that JP Morgan cited his exact tweet, verbatim, in their May 2026 Global Hardware and Semis Research Report.
And under their official specialist sales section, no less. It's crazy.
Which is wild. And for you listening, this wasn't just some casual meme or opinion. The tweet was a deeply technical, real-time analysis of semiconductor equipment scarcity. He broke down Intel's new terafab project.
Right.
And for context, a terafab isn't just like a big factory. It's a mega facility designed to not only build Intel's own chips, but to actively absorb foundry customers away from TSMC.
Yeah, it's a massive play.
Huge. And he detailed Samsung securing new clients, and he exposed the stalled price renegotiations for HBM between hardware makers and the big hyperscale cloud providers.
Which is high bandwidth memory, for those keeping track. That's essentially the ultra-fast short-term memory that AI chips desperately need to function.
Right. So to me, this is like finding out a Michelin star restaurant is secretly serving a recipe they just, found on a random TikTok food blog. Is traditional financial research officially dead?
I mean, it's not dead, but the consensus model of how intelligence is gathered is fundamentally broken. Think about the physical mechanics of Wall Street research for a second.
Okay.
By the time a major bank compiles a quarterly report, puts it through layers of legal compliance, formats it, and finally publishes it to clients, that intelligence is weeks old.
Right, which in tech is an eternity.
Exactly. In the hardware space, weeks might as well be decades. The real-time supply chain alpha, the actual valuable information, it lives on social media now. It lives on X. The people actually building the chips, negotiating the supply contracts on the ground, and analyzing the cargo manifests of lithography machines, they're posting their findings in real time.
So the multi-billion-dollar banks are just scraping the timeline because they literally cannot move fast enough.
They have to. But the second-order effect here is what really matters. This isn't just Wall Street being lazy. This is an admission of structural defeat.
Wow.
Yeah. Within the next 12 months, major financial institutions are going to quietly acquire these independent X accounts or put these anonymous, highly specialized posters on massive retainers behind closed doors. The informational edge has totally decentralized, and the banks are just going to have to buy it back in pieces.
But if we look at the physical reality of all the semiconductor expansion, like the TSMC capital expenditures, Intel's massive terafabs, we hit a wall.
The power wall.
Exactly. All of this requires a staggering amount of power, which brings us to a major energy milestone posted today. The handle at CamiraQ shared some data from the EIA. For the first time on record, U.S. wind and solar produced more electricity than coal.
Yeah, in 2024, wind and solar hit 17.2% of the grid, while coal dropped to 14.8%. And that gap is widening significantly as we move through 2025.
And what's crucial for you to understand here is that this wasn't just some top-down policy victory. Market forces actually drove this. Specifically, the natural gas fracking boom completely undercut coal's economics. Natural gas is sitting at over 40% of the energy share right now.
But this highlights a glaring contradiction in the tech sector's physical footprint. We just talked about terafabs and AI data centers. A massive GPU cluster running a frontier AI model training run cannot operate on intermittent power.
Right, it needs that stability.
It requires 2047 baseload power. It needs a perfectly flat, unyielding curve of electricity. But the overall grid is shifting toward intermittent renewables. Wind and solar are amazing technologies, but you cannot pause a multi-million-dollar model training run just because a weather front moved over your solar farm.
The physics just don't align with the demand. So if we can't get the physical power for current data center architectures, that physical wall forces founders to rethink the software itself, which brings us directly from energy constraints to compute constraints.
Because the vibe today is a massive reality check on what AI models can actually do.
Let's start with the architecture. We have the founder of Midjourney, David Schultz, dropping a highly technical post arguing that the future of compute is entirely focused on FLOPS.
Floating point operations per second, yeah.
Exactly. He points out that memory bandwidth scaling is hitting a physical limit. To explain the mechanics here, autoregressive models, which is the underlying architecture for large language models like ChatGPT, predict the next word by constantly referencing a massive context window.
Right.
That requires holding vast amounts of data in active memory, which demands insane memory bandwidth. It's like trying to recite an entire encyclopedia from memory while actively writing the sequel.
Right, whereas diffusion models, which are used heavily in image generation and spatial reasoning, are much more heavily reliant on pure math, the FLOPS. You don't need to memorize the encyclopedia, you just need to do complex calculus incredibly fast.
And I read the IT Bench A report that dropped right alongside this, and what shocked me wasn't just the architectural pivot, but the actual performance.
Oh, this was brutal.
The handle at Artificial Anlis partnered with IBM Research to test these frontier models on actual agentic enterprise IT tasks. We're talking real Kubernetes site reliability engineering, or SRE incident diagnosis.
Yeah, so if you work at a Fortune 500 company, this means the AI transformation your C-suite is promising you next quarter is physically incapable of happening right now. They gave the AI live logs, active system traces, and real shell access to a crashing server.
And every single frontier model failed miserably. Claude Opus 4.7 led the pack, and it still only hit 47% accuracy. GPT 5.5 was at 46%.
We are constantly promised AGI, artificial general intelligence. We are told these autonomous agents will replace entire engineering departments by the end of the year, but they can't even reliably diagnose why a live server is crashing.
Right.
And the underlying data show that just throwing more compute at the problem didn't work. Letting the AI think longer or run more code turns didn't improve accuracy, it just hallucinated more confidently.
Exactly. This is where the ROI, the return on investment metrics, fall completely apart for the proprietary labs. You have these massive companies charging a premium for a proprietary model that basically flips a coin on whether it can fix your server.
Meanwhile, cheap, open-weight models like GLM 5.1 are absolutely crushing them on cost efficiency. An open-weight model might also fail, sure, but it fails for fractions of a penny.
So if you are a major AI lab and you can't win on raw model performance or intelligence, how do you win? You win on distribution and lock-in. Despite these models failing benchmarks, the big players are ruthlessly locking down the enterprise ecosystem. Look at what at GDB Greg Brockman posted today.
Oh yeah, the MCP tunnels.
Yes, OpenAI is launching private, outbound-only HTTPS tunnels for MCP servers. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol.
This is just a masterclass in bypassing corporate security. Normally, corporate IT is obsessed with blocking inbound traffic to stop hackers from getting into the internal network.
Right, you want the walls up.
Exactly. So what OpenAI did is say, fine, we won't try to come in. We will just set up a secure outbound tunnel so your internal data streams directly out to our models.
It's like a bank installing a pneumatic vacuum tube directly from their secure vault out to a third-party security firm. Sure, it's secure from outside hackers, but you fundamentally outsource the keys to your kingdom?
Yeah.
And pair that with what Zaya posted. They are embedding CertRgrok and their X Premium tier directly into the KiloCode IDE, using something called Grok Build 0.1.
They are eliminating the need for API keys altogether in the developer environment.
Wow.
Yeah, think about it. If you don't need to manage an API key, you don't even think about the friction of switching providers. You just stay where you are. You are seamlessly trapped in their ecosystem.
Okay, I have to push back a little on the cynical take here. Isn't this just removing friction for developers to build faster? I mean, look at the broader ecosystem right now. The handle at Cursori just announced Compile. It's a massive one-day event in San Francisco aiming to bring engineers, designers, and builders together to collaboratively discuss the future of software. That sounds like a thriving, open ecosystem to me, not a trap.
I mean, it sounds wonderful in a press release. But if you look at the actual developer experience on the ground today, it is brutal.
How so?
The handle at the Theo posted a screenshot that should terrify any developer relying on these walled gardens. He was in the middle of high-stakes debugging of a catastrophic Windows BSOD, a blue screen at Deathloop.
Oh man, the worst.
And Anthropic's Claude Code abruptly cut him off They revoked his subscription access 24 hours early due to an off-by-one billing error on their end. His terminal prompt literally just returned a hard error saying his organization disabled access. Boom. His critical tools were completely gone mid-crisis.
A completely centralized point of failure. And the friction isn't just coming from billing errors. I saw the post from @ColinHacks, the creator of the massively popular Zod library. He decides to build an open source alternative to an AI code review tool called CodeRabbit. He calls it Bullfrog.
Right.
The very same day he announces his open source alternative, CodeRabbit immediately cancels their $999 a month GitHub sponsorship of his work.
Now, CodeRabbit claims it was just a broad platform change and not retaliation, but I mean, the timing is incredibly grim. The ecosystem is cutthroat right now. If you threaten the proprietary revenue stream with an open source alternative, your funding gets severed.
It is absolute blood sport out there, which is actually the perfect way to describe a post from @GrowingDaniel today. He documented this incredible interaction between Max Sparrow, the CEO of Pangram Labs, and a loud critic who was highly skeptical of Pangram's AI text detector.
Right. The company claimed a 1 in 10,000 false positive rate.
Yes. And instead of issuing a PR statement, Sparrow challenged the critic to a duel, a $5,000 duel in API credits. He told the critic to run any benchmark he wanted on any data set as long as he published the raw results and the code for everyone to see.
And the critic accepted. The transparency is amazing.
It really is.
I deeply respect the move. The tech industry has relied on marketing fluff and curated benchmarks for way too long. Shifting from PR spin to empirical public blood sports is exactly what the industry needs right now to establish actual ground truth. Put your money where your model is.
That is a great contrast because while we have tech founders holding each other ruthlessly accountable in public, when we shift to look at culture and society today, legacy institutions are showing a staggering lack of accountability.
Oh, this story is unbelievable.
There is an insane story posted by @DDDAS. The National Board of Education in India, which is a system that administers tests for over 2 million students, got hacked.
And this wasn't some highly sophisticated, advanced, persistent threat from a hostile nation state.
No. It was a 19-year-old ethical hacker named Nasarga. He found a basic vulnerability that allowed anyone to literally edit the marks of the test takers in the database.
Wow.
So what does the National Education Board do? Do they patch it and thank him? No. They deny the hack entirely. They quietly scramble to buy up domain names to hide the exploit. And then they publish an official graphic on their website to prove how mathematically secure and robust their system is.
And this is where the incompetence becomes almost artistic.
The graphic had a visible OpenAI ChatGPT watermark in the bottom corner. They use an AI image generator to create fake proof of their own cybersecurity.
I mean, you really have to laugh.
Yeah.
But it perfectly synthesizes everything we've discussed today. The most immediate, tangible use case for legacy bureaucrats isn't workflow efficiency. It's generating the illusion of competence.
Seriously.
They used a large language model to try and outsmart a 19-year-old kid, and they didn't even have the technical literacy to crop out the watermark.
It's staggering. And it highlights a massive growing tension between regulatory bodies and the tech world. Mark Andreessen at PMarca highlighted this perfectly today. He was mocking the UK's Part O regulation.
Right. And for context, Part O regulations effectively ban air conditioning in most new residential builds. The regulations mandate what they call passive cooling first.
Yeah.
You have to build homes with smaller windows to limit solar heat gain, and you are only allowed to use mechanical cooling as an absolute last resort.
And Andreessen points out the sheer absurdity of this mandate, especially considering Britain's now seeing over 2,000 heat-related deaths annually as the climate warms. He joked that the UK is intentionally accelerating back to medievaldom, mandolin players, friars, and woodsmen just sweating in the dark.
This raises the core question of why the tech elite are becoming so hypercritical of state infrastructure. It's because tech wealth and ambition are completely detaching from legacy governance. They look at a state that mandates smaller windows to fight global warming, or a state that fakes its cybersecurity with ChatGPT, and they simply decide to opt out of that reality.
Look at what @Polymarket posted today about Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum. He announced he is pausing his long-form, highly technical blog posts. What is he doing instead? He is writing a science fiction novel about decentralized governance.
Incredible timing.
Right. Meanwhile, polymarket odds show that Ethereum has a 49% chance of dropping below $2,000 by the end of the month. The price action is bleeding, the ecosystem is frustrated by friction, and the founder retreats to write science fiction.
Well, when current reality gets too painful or the state machinery seems too broken, the ultimate flex for a tech billionaire is to literally draft a new universe.
Escapism is definitely the prevailing vibe. On the lighter side, you have @TrunkedFan going viral with a meme proposing that Google should just launch a clothing line based on their product puns. YouTube Shorts, Google Slides, Google Sheets for betting.
Given their track record of killing off messaging apps, a line of literal footwear might actually have a longer lifespan.
But the ultimate form of escapism today comes from @XFreeze. They found a hidden Easter egg buried deep on the SpaceX website. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the International Space Station page, there is a hidden Play Now button.
Oh, the simulator.
Yeah, it opens a live in-browser Dragon docking simulator. You can manually try to dock a spacecraft with the ISS.
And it's brutally difficult. It requires an understanding of actual orbital mechanics. You have to manage translation, which is moving the craft along the X, Y, and Z axes while simultaneously managing rotation, which is your pitch, yaw, and roll.
All at once.
Right, and you're doing all of this fine alignment while traveling at 70,500 miles per hour. One wrong input, one overcorrection, and you just spin out into the void.
Which connects so beautifully to the final and perhaps most philosophical post of the day. Biff Bezos, the founder of the AX or effective accelerationism movement, posted a thought about our place in the universe.
I read this one.
He noted that the rarest object type in the universe isn't a black hole or a neutron star. It's us, conscious matter, the flame of life itself.
And he takes it a step further. He argues that because conscious matter is so statistically rare, we have a thermodynamic duty to expand it in scope and scale to preserve it. He specifically references Kardashev scaling.
And for those unfamiliar, the Kardashev scale is a method of measuring a civilization's level of technological advancement based on the amount of energy it is able to harness. A Type I civilization uses all the energy on its planet. Type 2 harnesses the power of its entire star, like building a Dyson sphere. Type 3 controls the energy of its entire galaxy.
And to that sweeping declaration of cosmic duty, Elon Musk simply replied, yes.
It is such a stark contrast. On one hand, you have terrestrial regulators legally mandating smaller windows to fight the heat, and education bureaucrats faking their fundamental cybersecurity with AI image generators. On the other hand, you have the tech elite literally playing orbital docking simulators and plotting the galactic expansion of human consciousness. The divergence is absolute.
Based on that massive divergence and the sheer failure rate we saw on the IT Bench AA testing today, my prediction for tomorrow is highly specific.
Let's hear it.
Within the next 24 hours, a major enterprise is going to suffer a catastrophic, highly public outage because they trusted a proprietary AI agent with a site reliability task that it simply could not handle. And because the institutional playbook is so thoroughly broken, they will try to cover up the outage using a press release generated by that exact same hallucinating AI.
A self-fulfilling loop of automated incompetence. And that brings us to our final thought for you to mull over today. We've talked about independent posters doing Wall Street's job, 19-year-olds exposing national cybersecurity flaws, and open-source developers threatening funded startups.
Right.
But what happens when the AI agents themselves move beyond failing basic IT tasks and start autonomously exploiting these exact same legacy institutional blind spots? When an AI doesn't just write the press release covering up the hack, but is the entity actively seeking out the unpatched vulnerabilities of a state bureaucracy that still thinks a watermark is proof of security?
That is the multi-trillion-dollar question, and the exact moment the legacy system realizes it is already obsolete.
We will leave you with that paradigm to consider. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious, stay sharp, and we will see you on the timeline tomorrow.